Samsung, there was news last week that Samsung was debating whether or not to put out a cheaper foldable. I guess it was the Z Flip series, not the Fold, but the Flip that opens up like a clamshell or alligator mouth. They were going to put out a cheaper unit or a cheaper option, basically like an FE, like a Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 at FE, basically a more inexpensive version of their Flip series. And news today that, glad I didn't put that out, but news today is that they are not. They're going to cancel that. They are going to stick with their flagship foldables, no cheap foldables. And I'm actually agree with that. I do not want to see a cheaper version of that Flip series device, because if you've had any of the previous versions, the Z Flip 5 is finally worth using. And when I say that, I mean the battery life is good. The performance is good. The software is very optimized and ready to roll. The cameras are still like 2 or 3 year old sensors and not on par with a flagship $1,000 device, right? So if you manufacture a cheaper version of your Flip series, what are you going to do, right? You're going to have to decrease the specs in it. And I don't want to see that device decrease specs. It needs more specs. It's fine where it's at. I think if you subtract or take away anything from the Z Flip 5, I wouldn't recommend it. The Z Flip 5, I recommend. It's awesome. It's fun to use. It's a really good device. The cameras are pretty good, but it's not to the level where I think a $1,000 device should be. Now, let's get into this. But real quick, I do have some other news too with the Galaxy Z Flip 6. The Galaxy Z Flip 6 is not only going to have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, it's also going to have the new S24 and S24 Plus camera setup. So you know how the one they have now has got like a 12 megapixel camera? Yeah, it's an all right performer, okay with daily pictures, but nothing you want to, take real good content on. It's good for selfies and crap like that. But the Z Flip 6, they are going to upgrade. It's going to remain the same. It's going to have the big outer display. They are going to put the sensors from the S24 and S24 Plus in the Z Flip 6. And the Z Fold 6 is going to come with an S Pen this year. They are, or I guess next year, but on the next series release here in about 8 months, the Z Fold 5 will get an S Pen where you can actually put it inside the device like the S23 Ultra. And they're going to upgrade the cameras on the Fold series as well as the S Pen. But they're getting the camera setup that's on the S24 and S24 Plus, because the S24 Ultra has got that 200 megapixel camera. They're not putting that on the Flip or the Fold. They're going to put the 12 and 50 megapixel cameras, that sensors that you see in the S23. S24 will have. So you will get camera upgrades on these new foldables for Samsung this next year. But real quick, let's see. There's an article here. I hate these damn ads. Here's the article here, and I'll link all these in the video description so you can check out all this good stuff. But as you can see here, Samsung is right to ditch the dumb idea of cheap foldables. I think they're where they're at because, like I said, if you reduce any of these devices and their specs, I don't want to see that, right? We just got to the point where I think you can recommend them. In the past, a Z Flip 3 had the worst battery life I've ever had on any device. It would last basically 3 or 4 hours, and that's not even with the screen on all the time. The battery life was horrible. The Z Flip 4 was better, but still looked the same, right? Still had the same camera sensors, still had that little outer display. But this Z Flip 5 where we're at now is a really good device. I definitely recommend it. Battery life is really good. Display really good. Software really good. But this Z Flip 6 and the next generation or iteration of these foldables, Samsung's going to take the next step. So the last thing you want to do is go backwards on these foldables. They are very delicate And I think right now is the sweet spot, even though they are a little expensive. Look, you can get them relatively cheap when Samsung releases them with their excellent trade-in offers. So I just thought I would pass that little news